What if calling an Amish person a Mennonite could genuinely cause offense? Are the differences truly that profound? The truth might surprise you. Picture two communities with shared origins, yet completely different ways of living, working, and worshiping. I remember once seeing someone casually swap their names, and the room fell silent, as though a sudden winter chill had taken over. No one dared speak a word. Welcome to the most shocking differences between Amish and Mennonites. Though they share a history, their lifestyles couldn't be more different. You've likely heard about their buggies and bonnets, but there's so much more beneath the surface. The deeper story that awaits may just change the way you view both groups forever. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everyone around you, even your closest family, has chosen to shun you. For some Amish communities, it's not just a punishment, it's a complete erasure from their lives. You sit at the dinner table, surrounded by family. No one looks your way. Plates are passed as though you aren't even there. You try to speak, but your words vanish into silence, met with stony, emotionless faces. This is what shunning feels like, becoming invisible in the community you've known your whole life. The Amish believe that shunning serves an important purpose. It's meant to protect the purity of their way of life. When someone breaks a church rule like marrying outside the faith or embracing technology, it's not taken lightly. For the most conservative groups, there's no promise of reconciliation. Once you're shunned, second chances are rare. But how do the Mennonites approach this? Unlike the Amish, their method is much more forgiving. While some Mennonite groups still practice a form of shunning, it's more about opening a path to dialogue and reconciliation. Instead of cutting ties, they may say, "Let's work through this. Let's find a way to return." It's less about strict punishment and more about offering redemption. This difference highlights how each group interprets their shared faith. For the Amish, shunning is a protective action. For the Mennonites, it's an opportunity for growth and understanding. How would you respond to being shunned? Would you forgive, or would you walk away for good? Share your thoughts as we dig deeper into the worlds of the Amish and Mennonites. And if you think this is intense, wait until you hear how these groups handle technology. From horse-drawn buggies to TikTok, the contrasts will surprise you. Could you make it through a single day without your smartphone? How about a week without electricity, cars, or the internet? For the Amish, this isn't just a challenge, it's a way of life. Their rejection of modern technology is one of the most defining features of their culture, and it comes from a deep desire to preserve tradition. Step into an Amish workshop, and you're immediately hit by the scent of freshly cut wood. The only light comes from a lantern hanging overhead, casting a soft glow that dances across the walls filled with hand tools. Outside, a horse-drawn buggy waits, ready to take the finished products to market. There's no sound of machines whirring, no phones buzzing, only the rhythmic sound of skilled hands at work. This isn't about nostalgia. For the Amish, rejecting electricity and cars is essential for maintaining their values of simplicity, humility, and separation from the modern world. Even as we enter 2024, their commitment to these ideals remains steadfast. But here's the surprising part: the Mennonites, who share the same religious roots, have a far more flexible relationship with technology. Many Mennonite groups own cars, use cell phones, and even embrace social media. Yes, Mennonites on TikTok are real. Picture someone sharing recipes or offering daily reflections in traditional attire, blending old and new worlds with a single swipe. And their adaptability doesn't stop there. Mennonites use the internet for education, run online businesses, and even take part in virtual church services. While they still value simplicity, they found ways to incorporate modern conveniences without sacrificing their faith. For the Amish, living apart from modern distractions is a source of pride. They believe their choice strengthens community ties and keeps their focus on spiritual values. On the other hand, many Mennonites see technology as a tool that empowers them, allowing them to connect with others, spread their message, and navigate today's world without compromising their beliefs. What would you do? Could you give up your smartphone or car to preserve tradition? Or do you think technology can actually enhance faith? Share your thoughts with us, we'd love to hear them. And this isn't the only area where these two communities diverge. Next, let's explore their views on gender roles. and how those roles are changing in some unexpected ways. For much of their shared history, both Amish and Mennonite women have adhered to traditional roles: homemakers, caregivers, and quiet participants in religious life. But in many modern Mennonite communities, a remarkable change has taken place. Women are now stepping into leadership roles within the church, becoming deacons, elders, and even ordained ministers. You might even come across a Mennonite woman managing a successful online platform, sharing her life with the world while remaining deeply connected to her faith. In contrast, the Amish remain firmly rooted in tradition. Men are the primary decision makers, while women focus on homemaking and supporting their husbands. In Amish communities, the idea of a woman leading a sermon or pursuing a career outside the home is almost unheard of. Take Sarah, a Mennonite woman in her late 30s. She balances leading her church's youth group with managing a popular YouTube channel that reaches tens of thousands of people. Her videos offer a window into daily Mennonite life, sharing recipes, faith-based reflections, and honest discussions about balancing tradition with modern life. Sarah's story highlights the opportunities now available to Mennonite women, but it hasn't always been easy. She has faced criticism from conservative voices who feel that her online presence challenges traditional values. Yet Sarah sees her work as an extension of her faith, connecting with others and sharing her beliefs in a fresh, modern way. Mennonite women are now leading congregations, starting businesses, and even hosting virtual Bible studies. This is a stark contrast to the Amish, where women's lives are typically centered around home and family, with few public leadership roles. But this isn't just about restrictions. Amish women take immense pride in their roles, seeing their contributions as essential to the community's strength. Their traditional duties help preserve their way of life, and that pride brings its own form of empowerment. If the differences in gender roles are striking, just wait until you hear about the contrasting views on marriage. But before I dive into that, do me a favor, take just 10 seconds to hit the notification bell and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow. And if you do, I'll keep working hard to bring you the best content I can. Deal? Marriage in both Amish and Mennonite communities has always been more than just a personal choice. It's a powerful commitment to their faith and cultural heritage. Both groups traditionally insist on marrying within their faith to preserve their values. However, the way this rule is enforced differs significantly. For the Amish, the rule is absolute. Marrying someone from outside their faith isn't simply frowned upon, it's strictly forbidden. For Mennonites, however, the boundaries are starting to relax. In some modern Mennonite communities, interfaith marriages are cautiously allowed, though often under the careful guidance of pastors. Imagine falling in love with someone from outside your faith, knowing the potential cost could be excommunication. For Amish couples, this is not just a possibility, it's a real and serious consequence. Amish rules require that both partners must be baptized in the Amish church to marry. Breaking this rule could result in complete separation from family and community. For Mennonites, the stakes are lower but still significant. Some interfaith marriages are accepted, but they often come with scrutiny and the expectation that the non-Mennonite spouse adopt key parts of the faith. Ask yourself, would you risk everything, your family, your way of life, for love? An Amish wedding is simple but full of meaning. The ceremony is held in a humble barn, filled with wooden benches and illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns. Outside, horse-drawn buggies line the dirt driveway, with drivers chatting as the bride and groom prepare to exchange their vows. Inside, the air is rich with the scent of freshly baked bread and homemade pies, ready for the community feast to follow. This is more than just a union of two people, it's a celebration of faith, shared values, and the collective support of the entire community. Every detail, from the handmade wedding dress to the long tables filled with home-cooked food, showcases their commitment to simplicity and tradition. What do you think? Should love always come first, or is preserving tradition more important? Share your thoughts in the comments. They have strict rules about marriage, but just wait until you hear how some Amish and Mennonites avoid mixing with the outside world. Their approach to interacting, or not, with the outside world will definitely surprise you. When it comes to interacting with the outside world, the Amish and Mennonites couldn't be more different. The Amish choose isolation, deliberately keeping their distance from modern society to protect their way of life. Their communities are small, tightly knit, and often separated from non-Amish neighbors. On the other hand, Mennonites take a more open approach. They embrace opportunities for higher education, professional careers, and even global travel. From attending college to running businesses, Mennonites navigate the broader world while staying grounded in their faith. This contrast reveals a fundamental difference: preservation through separation versus adaptation through engagement. Imagine an Amish settlement nestled in a peaceful valley. Wooden barns stand next to simple houses, and the sound of a horse-drawn buggy echoes down the dirt road. The pace is slow, deliberate, and firmly rooted in tradition. Neighbors are like family, and visitors are a rare sight. Now, travel just a few miles, and you may find a Mennonite college campus full of life. Students engage in lively debates about theology and social issues over coffee, with laptops and cell phones in hand. The atmosphere is a vibrant mix of tradition and modernity. Here, faith isn't isolated, it's woven into the fabric of a larger world. There's a clear tension between these two worlds. On one side, the Amish work to preserve their heritage by keeping the outside world at a distance. On the other, Mennonites embrace modern opportunities while striving to remain faithful. Both paths come with challenges. One risks losing tradition, while the other risks diluting it. Which path would you choose? And while these two groups differ in their interaction with the outside world, you might assume they both dress in a similar, simple style. But do they really dress alike? The answer might surprise you. When you think of the Amish and Mennonites, it's easy to picture plain, old-fashioned clothing. But the truth is, their attire is far more diverse than you might imagine. While Amish dress is quite uniform: long dresses, dark suits, and bonnets, Mennonite clothing varies greatly. Some Mennonites dress much like the Amish, while others wear modern clothes such as jeans, blouses, and even sneakers. Yes, some Mennonites shop at the same stores you do. This mix of tradition and modern style challenges many of the stereotypes people have about these groups. Let's step into an Amish community for a moment. You feel the homespun fabric under your fingers, rough but strong. A woman ties the ribbons of her bonnet, the soft rustle of fabric brushing against her long hair. Men wear broad-brimmed hats to protect their faces from the sun, while their suspenders tug slightly with each step. Now picture a Mennonite church service. Some women wear traditional plain dresses, their pleats so crisp you can hear the fabric shift as they sit down. Others walk in wearing modest modern clothing, like jeans paired with simple blouses. A teenage Mennonite girl, her hair neatly styled, waves at her friend, whose hair is braided in a simple, traditional style. The differences may be subtle, but they're striking, showing the unique ways each group balances faith with individuality. For the Amish, clothing isn't just about modesty, it's a symbol of humility and community. Men wear dark suits, suspenders, and broad-brimmed hats. Their beards, kept without mustaches, represent maturity and respect. Women wear long dresses, aprons, and bonnets with their hair kept long as a sign of virtue. Cutting their hair is rare, as it holds deep spiritual meaning. In contrast, Mennonites are much more diverse in their approach to modesty. Some groups still follow plain dress codes while others embrace modern outfits. A Mennonite woman might wear jeans or even a business suit while still keeping the cuts and colors modest. Hairstyles vary. Too many Mennonite women opt for short, practical haircuts, while others prefer to keep their long locks. The diversity in Mennonite dress reflects their openness to the wider world. What do you think about these dress codes? Should tradition dictate what we wear, or is personal choice more important? Share your thoughts in the comments. But clothing isn't the only difference between the Amish and Mennonites. The way they approach education might leave you speechless. What would you do if your education ended early? For Amish teenagers, this is the reality. After 8th grade, they leave the classroom behind and begin hands-on learning, focusing on skills like farming, carpentry, or homemaking. This isn't just a decision, it's a commitment to their traditions. Now, contrast that with Mennonite youth. Many are encouraged to pursue higher education, with some even attending well-known universities like Goshen College, Eastern Mennonite University, or Bluffton University. While the Amish believe that further schooling might threaten their way of life, the Mennonites view education as a way to broaden their horizons while still staying true to their faith. Imagine an Amish teenager named Jacob. He spends his days in a workshop, carefully learning the craft of carpentry under his father's watchful eye. The air smells of fresh wood as he shapes a table leg, each curve showcasing his growing skill and craftsmanship. Now picture Emma, a Mennonite college student. She's in the library, flipping through a theology textbook while taking notes for her essay. The room is filled with the hum of conversation as students discuss ideas about faith and service. Emma dreams of using her education to make a difference, perhaps working in international aid or teaching in underserved areas. Both Jacob and Emma are deeply connected to their faith, yet their paths could not be more different. Jacob's world is anchored in tradition, while Emma's is full of limitless potential. This stark difference between Amish and Mennonite education reflects the values each group holds dear. For the Amish, education is about preserving a way of life untouched by outside influences. For the Mennonites, it's about balancing tradition with participation in the modern world. This divide in education also leads to another fascinating difference: how these groups interact with the world. While Mennonite graduates may head abroad for missionary work, the Amish rarely venture beyond their tight-knit communities. And when it comes to global outreach, the differences don't stop with education. One group embraces the world fully, while the other prefers to keep things close to home. Their approach to evangelism might surprise you. The Amish keep it close to home, while the Mennonites go global. When it comes to sharing their faith, the differences between the Amish and Mennonites are striking. The Amish take a quiet, inward approach. You won't find them knocking on doors or traveling far and wide to spread their beliefs. Instead, they let their actions speak for them through their simple living, hard work, and humility. Their mission is to preserve their way of life and pass their values down through generations. Mennonites, on the other hand, embrace a much broader mission. They take the biblical call to go ye therefore quite literally. Mennonites are known for their global outreach, traveling to distant places to build homes, provide medical care, and offer disaster relief. Their form of evangelism isn't just about preaching, it's about making a real, tangible difference in the world through acts of service. Imagine an Amish community preparing for a barn raising. Neighbors come together, building a structure that serves as the foundation of their way of life. This is their form of evangelism, living out their faith quietly and consistently, without fanfare. Now, picture a group of Mennonite volunteers halfway across the world, hammering nails into the frame of a new home for a family recovering from a natural disaster. Nearby, a Mennonite nurse offers care at a free medical clinic. These acts of service are how they spread their faith by demonstrating love and compassion on a global scale. For the Amish, the stakes are about preserving their culture and traditions. For Mennonites, the stakes are about reaching as many people as possible with their message of faith and service. Both paths require deep commitment, but their methods couldn't be more different. Consider the Mennonite missionary who leaves their comfortable life to serve in a remote village, building homes under a scorching sun. The sacrifice is real time away from family, unfamiliar languages and customs, and physical exhaustion. But the sense of purpose? Immense. For them, these efforts are not just good deeds, they are acts of faith. Contrast this with an Amish family teaching their children to sew a quilt or plow a field. There's sacrifice here too, choosing to stay separate from the modern world, resisting the temptation of convenience, and preserving traditions. It's a different kind of purpose, rooted in the belief that their quiet example is the best sermon they can offer. But how do these two groups worship? What does a church service look like inside an Amish home or in a modern Mennonite sanctuary? The differences might surprise you. When you think of a church service, you probably picture a steepled building filled with pews, hymns, and people dressed in their Sunday best. But in Amish communities, worship takes place in a much simpler setting. Every Sunday, Amish families gather in a different house, moving furniture aside to make room for wooden benches and rows of chairs. Services are held in Pennsylvania Dutch, a German dialect, and focus on hymns, scripture readings, and plain preaching. There are no elaborate altars or personal testimonies, just a humble, shared experience of faith. In contrast, Mennonite church services often resemble what you might be familiar with. Held in formal church buildings, these services can range from traditional to modern, depending on the community. Some still use traditional languages, but many are conducted in English, making them more accessible to visitors. Mennonite worship tends to allow more individual expression, including prayers, personal reflections, and even testimonies. Their churches are typically simple, though they may include modern elements such as projectors or musical instruments. Let's step inside an Amish service. It's early morning and soft sunlight filters through lace curtains in a plain farmhouse. The room smells faintly of fresh bread and polished wood. Men sit on one side, women on the other, while children quietly shift on the benches. The preacher, often a community member, speaks in a calm, steady voice. Hymns are sung a cappella, their deep melodies filling the air. It's not just a service, it's a reaffirmation of their commitment to simplicity, humility, and tradition. Now imagine a Mennonite service. You enter a modest church building where families greet one another with warm smiles. The space is bright and inviting, sunlight streaming through stained glass windows. A guitar gently strums as the congregation sings a modern hymn in English. During the service, a young woman shares her personal story of overcoming hardship through faith. It's a blend of community and individuality, tradition and modernity, all coming together to create a meaningful spiritual experience. For both groups, these services are deeply meaningful, but the way they worship highlights their distinct ways of engaging with their faith in the world around them. The Amish and Mennonites began as one community united by their faith and values. But over the centuries, their paths have diverged, creating two distinct worlds, one firmly rooted in tradition, the other balancing heritage with the demands of modern life. How do we make sense of this transformation? You've followed this far, so you must have your own thoughts on this. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that appears on your screen right now. I'm sure you'll love this content. Comment below about the next country you want to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us. Leave a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos. See you in the next video.